Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon. So before I start, if you can let me know I am audible and can be seen. Not can be seen, but if I am loud and clear.
Yes.
Yeah, you are loud and clear.
Thank you so much. So yes, hello all. A very good afternoon. And myself, Ekta, on behalf of the Brinalytics team and our partner, presenting partner PTC, we welcome you all and thank you so much for being part of our roundtable, which is Digital Performance Management, Unlocking Agility and Resilience through Real-Time Digital Production Network. So before we start the roundtable, there are a few guidelines, and I would like to highlight that, of course, we'll have a Q&A after each session. All the attendees are on mute by default. So anybody who needs to question, you can raise your hands. We would unmute you and you can introduce yourself and put your question to our speakers. Or also requesting you to keep the chat box very engaging. You can put your question. We have our thought leaders who can take the questions directly from there as well. Yes, so to start with, I am happy to introduce our presenting partner, PTC. PTC enables global manufacturers to realize double-digit impact with software solutions that enable them to accelerate product and service innovation, improve operational efficiency, and increase workforce productivity. In combination with an extensive partner network, PTC provides customers flexibility in how its technology can be deployed to drive digital transformation on premises, in the cloud, or via its pure SaaS platform. And now to start with the first keynote speaker, I'm happy to invite Mr. Rajkiran C, who is a Senior Director and Head of IoT and AR Business as PTC. So thank you, Mr. Rajkiran, for being here, and over to you to start your interesting session. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ekta. I hope I'm visible and audible as well. And I'll be just sharing my screen.
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, hi, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be presenting in front of you, and thank you for the attendance. Before we move into the roundtable, which is really the heart of the session today, I just wanted to give a very quick introduction about the solutions that PTC has, and wanted to introduce a revolutionarily new product of ours, a product offering from us called the Digital Performance Management Solution, bringing together the 35 years of understanding of the manufacturer's scenario that we have in the market. So going into the potential constraint or the potential gap that exists with most manufacturers today, and I would like to have validation from everybody from the on the panel today. Typically, the best-in-class performance that we generally measure in terms of operational overall equipment effectiveness and average utilization is about 85% known to be the standard for best in class in the world. But a majority of the factories, not just in India, but abroad as well, function in the 40 to 60% average utilization band. This is something which is a huge area of improvement for all execs within manufacturing companies, where they want to increase the factory capacity utilization as close as possible to the 85% mark. Now, what could an increase yield in? An increase of productivity could yield in the following. And the objectives of manufacturing haven't changed over the years. It's about increased revenue, about reducing operating costs, about increased service levels as well, particularly in the discrete industry. But an increased revenue and an increase in demand will obviously result in more volume. The reduction in operating costs are going to help with less hours of production and therefore more capacity. And then the increased service levels would result in more changeovers. So you could utilize the same line for multiple purposes. And what does that result in? A shorter lead time, a greater product mix, a higher margin product, and less inventory and working capital. This is really the dream for every manufacturing exec and manufacturing companies on the whole. Now, we've been involved in digital transformation initiatives with companies as PTC for the past 7 years. And prior to that, 6 years as ThingWorks as well. What we've observed in the market is there's a lot of initiatives that are taken up. They're taken up either in the area of assets, which is really to improve the asset uptime, asset efficiency. They're taken up in the areas of people, workforce productivity, and really quality. But it's unclear for a lot of companies when they start off or they start with something and move to something else, where to focus and align initiatives that really drive those transformational outcomes. And that's been a challenge. And I think that's going to be validated by the panel as well. But this is what we've been observing, and there's a lot of acknowledgement from the market. And most initiatives don't actually drive transformation. There are resources that are misdirected at technology initiatives. Traditionally, the technology wing was responsible for taking up anything to do with new technology and emerging technology. And they don't really address the performance constraints because there probably is a gap between the technology wing and the business wing. And there's about 5% of initiatives that really matter. And 5% is an indicative figure here, of course, but there's a few initiatives that will really matter, can really drive transformation. And the results will be in small incremental improvement traditionally, but not a transformational improvement. That's what we've been observing in the market so far. And for the main manufacturing factors for delivering impact at scale will be broadly bucketed under the three of these: impact, speed, and scale. Impact is where the company really chooses to focus resources with the most important constraints to drive P&L benefits, and then to demonstrate financial benefit for ongoing efforts. Speed is where the company should really try to focus on rapid time to initial value. We've seen umpteen manufacturers start off an initiative, not put enough resources and effort behind it, and continue with an implementation for 18, 24 months, only to realize that there was a fundamental change management that needed to be taken care of, etc. Accessing dedicated resource and skills would also be one of the factors that impede speed. Scale, focusing on the 5% initiatives that I talked about, on the high value repeatable use cases, is something that we've seen missing for a long time. Comprehensive data planning and actionable scaling plan. I mean, we start with something, but eventually the scale may not necessarily be achieved. These are some of the other factors. So essentially, with what I'm going to announce, we are moving from a scattergun approach, what we call a scattergun approach, which is really shooting at different areas, not really a coherent effort into the top high value and prioritizing the use cases, to a very laser focused approach that emphasizes P&L impact. That's what brings me to the topic of digital performance management. It is really a closed loop problem solving solution that helps identify, prioritize, and solve the biggest issues that impede productivity. It replaces your out-of-date, siloed reporting tools with a closed-loop solution by helping to identify, prioritize, and solve the biggest issues that constrain production efficiency. So DPM systematically identifies bottlenecks and prioritizes actions for improvement. It collects and normalizes production data to a standard metric, and this is different from all the solutions you must have seen in the past. The standard metric is time lost rather than percentages or any other metric that there may be. It helps customers engage every level of the organization to help solve problems and regain lost hours of production. Now let's look at the kind of dashboards you will get with digital performance management. This is something that we've very recently launched. Those of you who are very familiar with PTC know that we had an industry-leading ThingWorks platform on the basis of which you could build almost any application on top of it. This is one step above that, where you can get the high-value use cases out of the box as an offering from us. So if you look at this wheel here and the 7 and the 6 dashboards and images here, at the center you have dashboards out of the box to monitor production performance. Okay, so monitoring that, providing that to the frontline workers is step one. Focusing on where the bottlenecks are with the assets, with the process, with the lines, is what you get with the bottleneck analysis to focus on the specific area. Again, like I said, this is conveyed in time lost parameters. And then prioritizing with a time loss waterfall dashboard, prioritizing which are your biggest constrained bottlenecks. and what do you need to solve first, etc., is provided to you there. The analysis with the loss reason Pareto chart, you have the analysis of what are the ones that are impacting the most your production capabilities. And all of these are conveyed in time lost. And then you've got the improvement dashboards, which is called the action tracker. This is where our 35 years of industry experience comes in, where we can convey what other manufacturers, and there are ML models and AI models embedded or incorporated into the solution, where there are recommendations of what need to be done to take care of the lost production hours, so the bottlenecks to be cleared. And then finally, and this is very important, a scorecard to confirm whether what you've implemented is actually resulting in a benefit for you. So there's active confirmation of that as well. What does this do? This improves your ability to innovate. It improves the speed of problem identification and resolution as well. Now, digital manufacturing will help factories, like I mentioned. This is a summary of that. It understands to help understand the issues that demand focus. What are your top priorities that you need to solve? What are the root causes of the problems? And the action plan communication. We need to be able to recommend, being in the industrial IoT market for so long, transparently, and we need to be able to recommend an organizational improvement plan that empowers your frontline workers to take corrective action. And then, like I said, with the scorecards, creative investment accountability as well. How is DPM different from all the solutions you see in the market? And there's a plenty of them. I'm sure all of you decision makers must have come across a dime a dozen solutions, platforms, out-of-the-box solutions, dashboards that you can just take, dashboards which are ready to show you the data from the different assets and machines and lines. How is DPM different from them? The system of DPM is continuous, real-time, closed-loop problem-solving solution. Time is a currency here. We're not using percentages. We're not using any other metric that you may be thinking of before or traditional solutions have been offering. This is a direct calculation of the amount of time lost with a direct financial derivation from that. And it's an in-context measurement that empowers thousands of frontline workers, not a handful of engineers alone, which was a traditional approach. The approach here is to wrap and extend to leverage the existing assets and data sources. So if you've got an MES solution, if you've got your ERP solution, it picks up data from each of these layers of the ISA 95 stack and wraps and extends around all of that and provides you real-time actionable intelligence. Holistic solutions to identify potential impact, like I talked about on the previous slide. And this is really a cornerstone element. This is a prime product offering that should be a mandatory thing that goes into every digital transformation solution from our perspective. The impact, focus on most pressing high-value use cases, and the time to value, and this is very vital. Like I told you before, there's initiatives that have taken 18 to 24 months to actually take off the ground, but we are looking at a time frame of 90 days for the initial implementation to be completed. How this benefits the business? It benefits every level of persona within any organization. The executive, it addresses the highest impact issues. It identifies the repeatable best practices across different sites as well, which is really plant benchmarking of one with the other. It ensures transparency and accountability for your digital transformation investments, which probably wasn't done very well in the past. Managers, of course, ability to remediate addressable issues, focusing on critical work and losses for targeted improvement, and rallying all the resources behind these high value, high priority initiatives that you really need to look at. That's how it helps the manager. And the frontline worker, of course, it gives higher performance visibility, shift accountability. You have specific dashboards built for their work order scheduling and the shift of what they have to do from a minute-to-minute basis, etc. You can get down to that level of detail. And it also focuses on critical performance issues of immediate work centers. And balance for shift improvements and offline improvements is an integral part of the solution here. Just a reminder, that the other use cases can continue to be built on our leading flexible platform. And anything that is not a functionality in DPM is, of course, something you can build on our industry-leading ThingWorx platform. And these are the deployment methodologies, and we've got a global partner ecosystem to complement that. Thank you very much. I hand this over back to Ekta to get into the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Raj, for sharing wonderful insights. So any questions? I've already mentioned with the audience that you can put your questions on the chat box to keep it engaging. We would love to take it from there. Or if any questions, you can raise your hands so we can unmute you from here and you can introduce yourself and put your question to the concerned speaker. So Raj, can we see that if we have one or any questions? So audience, we are open for the Q&A with Raj. So one or two questions can be welcome. You can raise your hands and we would unmute you. I'll wait for a while.
The audience can ask me, yeah, they can ask me either now or at the end of the panel discussion as well. If there are any questions now.
We have a question from a gadget name, sir, also 15766. Sir, also requesting you to please rename yourself because I really don't know your name. And I'm just allowing you to talk. Please introduce yourself and put your question to Raj. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, 15766, whoever is logged in.
Mr. Raj, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Praveen Goel from Subros.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Praveen.
So, in our company, we are trying to establish a system where we can track the component. And because once the component goes to the market and it is fixed in the automobile, then it becomes very difficult from which location this problem has come.
Great.
And it is a requirement of our customer also that we must identify and we should kill that problem. Only problem is our process is so lengthy, like so many stages are there that to track at each stage. In fact, we are running with some system there, but that system is not sufficient enough to track the complete component at the customer end from where this problem is generated.
Right.
So, but it is also very difficult to implement all the solution at a time, at one time only.
Right.
Because it will require a huge resource. So, like in your presentation, you was mentioning that you are doing something on sharing, like some sharing basis. So what is that system which you are talking about, like where you mentioned that this can be done on sharing basis? On the last slide, I think you have mentioned something.
All right. I said any other solutions can be built on the ThingWorx platform as well, but I'll answer your question. Your question is about traceability of components, about parts that go into a larger machine, right? This is a classic digital thread. If you've seen the concept of digital thread, it's a classic digital thread implementation that is required to track components from your design engineering phase to when it gets into service, right? For you to track which factory it came out of and what corrective action, if it's a defective piece, what corrective action needs to be taken. Now, this is an implementation which involves a huge number of components or solution offerings from our side. Very basically, the fundamental component will be ThingWorx platform, and but also our PLM system would come into play for this. This would incorporate monitoring the tracks, the parts, and being able to track and trace each of these components through its life cycle. Okay, so all of these will come together. It's a solution. It's a discussion we can have definitely, and we've got the solution set for it, Praveen. Okay, so we can have an offline discussion on this in further detail. This comprehensive solution can be built on our technologies.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. Right.
Right. Thank you very much. There's another question I see on the chat box.
Yeah.
Ekta, I can just answer that. It's a very quick one. I think Mr. Rajkumar is asking whether it's part of the ThingWorx platform. This is over and above our ThingWorx platform, Mr. Rajkumar. This is an out-of-the-box application that is ready to deploy and implement within a period of 3 months, like I mentioned. For anything additional as a functionality you need, let's say quality monitoring or let's say energy consumption monitoring, etc., that can be built on ThingWorx platform, and that can complementarily work with DPM, digital performance management. Okay, let's move to the panel. Ekta, let's hand it over to them.
Yes. Thank you so much, Raj, for sharing your insights and answering the questions. Now, moving to our interesting roundtable discussion on the digital performance management, where I'm glad to introduce our thought leaders. We have Mr. Sabyasachi Dev, Head Digital Initiatives with Exide Industries Limited, Mr. Vikas Yadav, Head Application and Digitization International Tractors Limited. We have Mr. Gautam Shivabalan, Head Lead Manufacturing Excellence with V-Guard, Mr. Sushil Yevle, Head Technology Quality Management with Suzlon Energy Limited, Mr. Vishwas Putege, Business Head with MS Solutions Private Limited, and Mr. Hariharan Ramakrishnan, Vice President and Head Digital and Analytics Services with Motherson Sumi Infotech and Designs. We also have Mr. Raj Kiran again joining us from PTC for the panel, and the roundtable is going to be moderated by Mr. Dhirendra Kulkarni, Senior Director Pre-Sales with PTC. So over to you, Mr. Dhirendra, to take over the session.
Yeah, thank you, Ekta. I hope you can hear me clearly, because I can see myself.
A bit louder would be great.
Okay, so is it better?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone. And once again, welcome to all our panelists as well as the audience who have joined us from different corners here. So today afternoon discussion on digital performance management on the context that what Raj has already set up. I'm sure it's interesting. And the kind of the panelists we have with their experience, I'm sure it's going to be very, very insightful. So before I start the discussion, I just want to take or mention about 2 pointers here, which will set again the context for the digital performance management. The first one is, a PTC over in the last couple of years, we have implemented this digital performance management or a kind of industry 4.0 solution, which was more like based on ThingWorx. Of course, the DPM is much more revised one. But based on experience, and when we did a survey with most of our customers who are using these solutions, and also the prospects who are doing the digitization in the shop floor, and we asked them that what is that one use case, or what is the most important thing for you to really measure the manufacturing excellence or the manufacturing throughput. And the 62% of the surveillance says that real-time production performance management. Okay, so the production KPIs, monitoring of those key production KPIs is the most important use case that will help them to really measure how they are doing on the manufacturing, and helps them to identify the bottlenecks and improve the overall manufacturing throughput. So that again gives us an importance in how this digital performance management on the shop floor is very critical to improve the manufacturing throughput. And the second pointer is what I just want to pick up from where Raj mentioned about, most of the average companies we have around somewhere between 40 to 60 or max 65% is the overall equipment effectiveness, which is a measure of manufacturing excellence. But while he also mentioned that best in the class companies goes as long as 80, 85% or even 90%. So even if you take an 85% versus 60% an average, it's a good 20, 25% of a gap. And that eventually, if we can bridge that gap as much as possible, we can improve the manufacturing throughput, more revenue, more parts, more products with the same capacity, which will help us to improve our revenues and growth. So again, these 2 pointers will again give us an insight that how critical or how important is this key production KPIs monitoring, or also known as the digital performance management. So with that, I will go to each of these panelists, our speakers, to talk about, give their perspective and view on 3 important things actually. So I'll just put all these 3 points together so that, you can answer or provide your perspective or views on how do you address this. The first one is, what is the extent of digitalization, or what is the digital performance visibility that you have today in your shop floors or on the production factories? Okay, and if not, what kind of initiatives you are taking to really get to that kind of performance visibility. Second one is, if you have that visibility, how you are really using that information either to drive, to take some informed decisions or help you to optimize certain manufacturing processes and things like that. Basically, how you're leveraging that information, because once you have a visibility, how are you making use of that information? And third, while we achieve or address the first two, I'm sure it's not that easy, right? You might have gone through certain challenges and might have overcome those and probably facing more challenges as well. So just, I would like you to provide your perspective and experience on these 3 points. And just to make it more structured, we would like to go one by one to get your views. Maybe first I will go to Mr. Sabyasachi Dev, who is the head of digital initiatives at Exide Industries. Mr. Sabyasachi, your views and perspective on this. All yours.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Dhirendra, for setting up the context. See, in any digital transformation, the few key elements which are very important is data, that how you connect your machines, your manpower, and your material data, bring it in one place, transform that data, and then transform the data in such a way that you get one view of the data, and then analyze that data, and you build analytical insights on top of that data. So very important how you collect this data. Okay, so I have total around 17 years of work ex. I worked in automotive, I have worked in cement industry, and now I'm there in Exide from the battery manufacturing industry, where it's very process oriented, where it's a step-by-step process. It goes through a casting. So any manufacturing, it goes through a casting, pasting, drying. That is the process. But in each process, there is a man involved, man, machine, and material. All these three are involved. So when I joined here, I saw that all data are disparate and discrete, and there's no connection between these data. Okay. So first and foremost, my top priority is to build a data lake, get all this data at one place. Okay. And then try to get some meaningful insights out of it. Now, I heard from Rajkiran that you have a ready-to-use platform which can connect to edge devices. So like data can come from different ways, to conventional IoT platforms, IoT devices, or through API related applications. Generally, the data, you collect the data through different ways. Now, after this, you need to transform this data. So because they are legacy systems and they are modern systems, you have to connect and bring the data on one particular platform in one particular format, so that you get meaningful insights out of that data. Okay, we have a lot of data. When I joined, I saw we have a lot of data, but we didn't know what to do with that data. Okay, just like energy management. We tried to do something on energy management. There were sensors. We had energy sensors. Every plant had energy. We have 7 plants all over India. Every plant has energy sensors. We are getting the data, but we don't know what to do out of this data. Okay, so what we try to do is now get those data on one data lake, build a data lake, get those sensors data, see what are the different trends coming out of those energy sensors, and then see then see and give insights to our operators that where all we are actually losing energy and how that energy can be saved. Okay, this is what we started. Okay, so we have MES systems, manufacturing system, SAP MES system. We have we are capturing the quality parameters, we are capturing the machine related parameters, we are capturing the different processes are done. So quality aspect is quite addressed out over there. We also have traceability in place, but then what is lagging is a lot of data is coming out over there. We are not able to get insights out of it. So we have just started this journey. Step by step we are taking. Okay, certain things we have prioritized, like energy management, one thing we have prioritized. Similarly, we have prioritized places like OE, manpower productivity, throughput improvement, yield. These are things which we have prioritized. We are working on it step by step, and it's a journey, so it will take some time, but that's what we feel, that getting the data and getting it in a particular format and getting meaningful insights out of it and drive KPIs out of it is what the need of the hours.
Excellent. I think good input, Mr. Sabyasachi. But I just also wanted to ask you, because I think I understand that the first part of the connectivity and capturing the data is well in place at Exide. And today you are working on how to leverage the data, because my question was also on, are you leveraging? If not, like today you are in at a state where you are trying to understand how to leverage the data and build some analytical this thing. Also, was it easy? How was your journey? Is it easy to connect, and whatever today you have achieved, all was a flawless journey, or was it?
See, it was a step by step. So it was not very easy. Certain plants were not ready to share data. Certain people, they said, okay, we don't have the data in the particular format. And then see, there's always a resistance from people. People think if you share too much of data, their job might be at stake. Okay. It happens. Their productivity might be questioned. The yield will be questioned. Okay. These type of resistance is always there. So at times you took a top-down approach. At times you go from the bottom level, try to tell them or try to do workshops and show them what is the benefit they will get out of these insights, out of this exercise, and you try to drive it. Okay, so it was not easy. To be very frank, it was not easy. But it's a journey. As I said, it's a journey. So we are taking a step by step. Certain places we have done it. Certain places, certain things are going on, and it's a continuous journey.
Yeah, understood. I think you're absolutely right, because it's always a mixture of things where we can easily connect, and somewhere where they're legacy and it's not very easy, where you need some retrofitting and even starting from sensorization. And one more quick question before I really move on. Since you have a visibility today, okay, you might not be able to make much sense of it in terms of analytics, but what kind of benefit or what kind of insight that the sheer visibility has given to you? Has it given a quick impact?
Yes. See, it's like as I give an example, if I take an example of energy management. So in the battery industry, our maximum energy gets consumed during the casting stage, okay, where it's at a very high energy is dissipated while you do cast your lead and prepare the batteries. So you can say 60 to 70% of my energy consumption happens during that stage. Now, when we connected these energy meters and we started getting the trend out of those, that is the time when we saw that there are places there are opportunities of improvement where there's some machines which have been worn out. Okay. Some machines which need to be replaced, some machines where creating maintenance is due. So we try to do all these things. So these are the things which came out of this exercise where the operators at different stages were told what they need to do. Okay, which was lacking, which was not there. And truly speaking, we have been in the last 1 year, we have been able to save around 15% of the energy cost, which is in a sense, it is around 5.5 crore of energy cost is what we are able to save.
Excellent.
We have started with 2 plants. In 2 plants, we have saved around 5.5 crores. Now we are trying to scale it up.
Absolutely. Now we already have a initial impact. You have seen the impact. Now, like what Raj mentioned about, it's all about now the scalability, how you can extend it to other plants. So I think that was the point I wanted to drive, yes, analytics is an ultimate goal of digital performance management or industry 4.0. But even before you go to the predictive analytics with AI, ML and all, the sheer visibility, like the example that you just gave about energy, just that getting that visibility to that data itself makes operator to think and identify those areas. And that itself has given you around 5.5 crores of the return on investment. I think that's a great point, and that's a
yes, and that's very accepted also by the management, because the management always looks up how you save the money.
Exactly.
Okay, they are not bothered at what data you are collecting, in what format, what you are doing. Yeah. Their only ask is you tell me how much you are going to save, or how much productivity you are going to improve, or how much yield you are going to improve.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is what we have taken. We have taken a step forward. We have done it. We have shown it in 2 plants, and now we are going to scale it up. Similar things we are doing it in the OE and other areas also.
Great example, Sabyasachi. I think thank you very much. We'll come back to you again if the time permits for a few more questions. So next, I would like to go to Mr. Vikas Yadav, who is the head of the digitalization and application at the International Tractors Limited. and a famous Sonalika brand. Who doesn't know the Sonalika tractors actually? So everybody knows about it. So Mr. Vikasji, just your views on the same question that I asked about in terms of the extent of visibility that you have today on the production, and how are you using it, or probably what initiatives you are taking to make it more, to get more data and understand the data, and again, as a part of your journey, any challenges you want to share with us?
Yeah, thanks. So I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, very clear.
Yeah, great. So I have been hearing the leaders now what they were discussing. So, I may forget the question, so maybe you can ask again those questions.
No problem. Yeah.
So I heard Mr. Raj was saying, I had noted that point about OE. It was about asset, people, quality, delivery. Then Sabyasachi was discussing about the data, how we take out the data from the machines or equipments, and how we make some meaningful results of the data. So what I thought that this process of digitization is beyond data. Okay, so it's all about because what people think we will implement some tool or we do something and we take out data from the machines or supply chain and we make those lovely dashboards which we have shown. So these things excite people. So that is the one part of the story. Yes, it does, that activity. So it is beyond. One slide was there. It was very interesting that this kind of a digitization process or Industry 4.0, it basically mixes the asset, people, quality to achieve delivery.
Yep.
Delivery at the right point to the right people at the right time. So it makes not only the shop floor digital, but the complete supply chain till to the consumer who is getting the benefit out of the product, okay, or out of the service, in fact. So this kind of thing, so that is the one area where we need kind of a visibility that how our technology, how our participation, not only the technology, people and technology participation to bring this supply chain more agile and more submissive to the kind of the changes and constant innovation that it brings. So these are the potent challenges also to the industry. So with advent of digitization, we are taking a lot of data out of the system. So how this data is going to be articulated in a kind of a meaningful result. So this is also one of the areas where the technology help us. So I see that I have been working in most of the automotive industry. So the many things I have seen in the past, where I have seen that era where most of the machines were manual. Tool be change hoga, so it will be through a manual process. The machine to machine, the output is going, that is also a manual process. The quality which we get out of the machine, it is also much of the manually controlled. Then the machine also became intelligent. That machine itself became intelligent. But when we bring that machine into the group of the different machines, then the complete line is not digital. So we discuss about the OE where we are able to increase the efficiency. So one of the slide was saying that we reached to the OE of around 40 to 60 for most of the industries or different industries. But we also see that most of the OEM, they prescribe that machine that it can go to the level of 85%. Now the question is that what we have seen when we did the kind of digital initiative, we are able to achieve the efficiency level of the machine itself. But that machine is lying in a family where other machines are given a capacity of 40% or 50%. The complete efficiency of the shop floor goes down. So it's a question of a PERT CPM theory where we going to the critical path, where that the complete line efficiency get impacted. So one rotten tomato can bring the complete basket out of the area. So that is the thing. So downtime, so we have seen, we have increased, we have basically decreased the downtime. We brought the efficiency of the plant to around 2 to 3%. So these kind of initiative we did, but most of these initiatives were, we can say, point solutions. We improved the paint technology. We improved through kind of technology of the We increased the hanger layout. So we increased many things. We did it with a point solution. As far as the quality is concerned, yes, we improved the system to sensorization of the machines. We take out some additional things so that manual intervention to note down the quality, to gauge the quality, that also get automated, where reading the data or reading the quality from the equipment, it should not be a manual. The human is always intelligent. The machine is also, if machines become the same level of intelligence, then one thing is guaranteed, that machine goes with an algorithm. And so there is no point of additional emotional intelligence involved. So that is that is the reason. So we need artificial intelligence. We need machine intelligence, but not emotional intelligence.
Of course, yeah. I think one very important point you mentioned is about that, individual asset as the individual asset utilization you have increased, but maybe because of some other machines bottlenecks in that particular line, the overall line efficiency or the plant efficiency can go down. And that is exactly what Raj was talking about in identifying the bottlenecks and identifying those performance analysis and taking the corrective action. Maybe a quick 30 seconds view, Raj, and how this small bottlenecks in the line can and entirely impact an overall efficiency. And that is where what you spoke about digital performance management and understanding these bottlenecks can really help to improve that uptime.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's precisely why we've got a bottleneck analysis. Even if a couple of machines, even if the majority of machines are performing at good enough effectiveness, which is, let's say, 80-85%, if there's one or two machines on a line, then that becomes constrained. Okay, so that is where the loss Pareto analysis will identify which is that exact machine or that area or a couple of machines which is really constrained and slowing down the entire process. Okay, so precisely what you talked about, Mr. Vikas, I think is what we solve. So, and you don't need to apply your intelligence on that as well. That is programmed into the DPM solution, and it'll point towards that because it's getting real-time information there. So it's already analyzed that 7 out of 8 machines are performing at 85% utilization, and there is that one machine. So it immediately points to that, and you can take corrective action immediately. You don't have to do the analysis yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the point I just wanted to highlight and emphasize again on how we can identify those bottlenecks. Yeah, thank you, Vikas ji, for all your insights. We'll come back to you once again. So next, I will move to Mr. Gautam Sivabalan, who is the lead for manufacturing excellence at V-Guard. So, Mr. Gautam, I don't have to again repeat the questions. I hope you already got it. So maybe I've seen you have also worked in consulting areas, before, and of course, all along you have been a champion in the manufacturing field, actually. So maybe your perspective and your views on overall discussion where we are having on the performance, visibility, and the impact that it can provide.
Yeah, thanks. Like you said, I have a career that started with the automotive. I worked in all the functional departments, whether it is production, maintenance, quality, and planning. And then subsequently, I moved on to IT, where I worked in a company called i2 Technologies, which were obviously in supply chain management solutions at that time. That was close to 2 decades ago. And then subsequently, I moved on to consulting, where I was with Frost for quite a long period of time. And I've been fortunate to see about 350 different manufacturing units across various countries as well as part of my consulting capacity. And predominantly my love or passion being closer to manufacturing, I sometimes behave more like a devil's advocate as far as technology and consulting is concerned, because I've been on both sides of the table. But I think these are interesting questions that you put across. But I would like to probably, give my own version of interpretation, because right now there's so much talk about data, about digitalization, and unfortunately, I come from an era where my manager used to have a computer, and he would send an email, take 2 copies of prints, and then make somebody send it to the general manager to ensure that person gets it. So it was quite a privilege to actually have a computer in those days. And having seen that, and presently where you got phones and you got apps that give you alerts if the maintenance or the downtime is not addressed in half an hour, or the machine is down for beyond 40 minutes, then I get an SMS alert saying that, hey, you know what, this is a critical machine that's beyond 30 minutes and it's down. And then the escalation processes and mobility. I mean, we've been able to be fortunate to witness this transformation of technology, and how rapidly we are able to access information. So I'd like to take this question in a slightly different sense, Dhiren, if you give me a little bit of leeway. First is when we're talking about, you'd asked about what is the level of visibility that we are presently having. The way I look at it is, you see, these principles of optimization as far as manufacturing is concerned are about 4 or 5 decades old. Now, whether it is lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, TPM, TQM, these are principles that have been in and around, and many plants have adopted this. What used to generally happen was, for us to go through that journey, you need to have experts. What digitalization or the entire data collection has done is your reliance on these experts has reduced. You're able to have this, competence within the plant, and the data actually speaks a lot more, and you're able to action faster. So the dependency on these experts, because I was one of those expert consultants once, and I was propagating Lean, Six Sigma for a long time, and besides the success part of it on that, what you can see is giving this or translating this competency back to the plants through either these dashboards, through actionable data, is, I think, the most important aspect of any journey. What happens is, right now we always talk about visibility of data. I think there are 2 other dimensions when we look at data, which I think is very critical for us to consider. One is the authenticity of the data. Because everybody says, data needs to be visible. We've got dashboards, we've done it in our own, I would say, a small manner, where we published VB scripts, we've got Excel dashboards and a bunch of things. So you've got people entering it because at the end of the day, it starts from that operator writing in the logbook. That's something that you can't do away with. So how authentic that data is, and how accurate that data is, that's the second part of it. So one is saying that whether it's really what truly happened, and if it really happened, is it the accurate part, like Vikas mentioned with respect to an example on changeover, right? So maybe it's taken 7 minutes, but the operator writes 10 or he writes 5. Now this, over a cumulative period of time, this becomes a challenge, and these small pockets get missed out in your normal or your present way of working. That's one part of it. So you've got authenticity, you've got the accuracy. And the most important thing with respect to all these tools is in terms of how soon can I get access to this information? How close to real time I'm able to get this. I think these 3, whenever we speak data, as long as we're able to look at all these 3 aspects, that helps us build or, look at what is the need for us to actually put in place a solution, if at all, because there are, I think one of the things that I'm trying to see is, like I gave you a couple of thoughts before we got onto the roundtable. I've got a dime a dozen guys coming up to me and saying that, I've got this solution. We want to, we've got an IoT platform, we've got MES, we've got MIS. It's a plethora of options that's available out there from, somebody who's got a, run-of-the-mill consulting firm down the lane to some of the big guns out there. But what really I believe is the challenge for companies or for manufacturing is, I think we really don't know what we need. To be very honest with ourselves, nobody really gets the big picture of where we want or where we see ourselves in probably next 3 years, 2 years down the line. Okay, we're going to get a lot of data. We're getting, from data pools to data lakes. We've got AI, we've got machine learning, we've got deep learning, a lot of these things that can add a lot of value. There's no doubt about it. But then, hey, where do I see how much of an impact is it going to give to me? And where do I see my organization in maybe 2 years or 3 years down the line? Because it's not an easy journey.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many people think it's going to be, a plug and play, you get the application, you fix it in, and then they hold the application or the implementer's neck and say, hey, I'm not getting the benefits that you promised me. This is something that I've seen happen. Presently, if you look at V-Guard as such, we are, from a manufacturing perspective, we are a little complex organization because we've got discrete manufacturing units where, you've got assembly lines, completely manual oriented. We've got a mix of both discrete and process-oriented setups where you've got batch processing, we've got plating, like, painting, plating, these are all process-oriented stuff where, you need batches, you need them to be processed. You've got a lot of parameters that are coming in through DCS, SCADA systems that, these are vital informations which we can use to control parameters and ensure good quality and, timely output. And there are certain plants that I've got where which are completely equipment oriented. One of the key points that even Raj made earlier, saying that OEE is a very critical component where you got a series of machines that are running back to back. Whether the bottleneck is down, how efficiently am I running the bottleneck? How efficiently am I feeding the bottleneck? So planning to keep certain inventory before the bottleneck is also something that, although everybody says inventory is back, but then you need to keep certain bottleneck so it doesn't get starved if this machine is down. So this entire planning process, it varies from factory to factory. And given the fact that we're also closer to the consumer in terms of, electrical appliances and stuff like that, our visibility and our need to be very flexible. I think there was a slide that Raj mentioned with respect to the number of changeovers. There's a last graph on the right hand side which spoke about, having one line being able to be handle multiple products and, have a very short changeover time and things, which is obviously the utopic goal for everybody. But for us to get there, right now, if you ask me, we've got pockets of data, to be honest. So there are people that are collecting this information, and it's more of a bottoms-up approach right now at V-Guide. And we're trying to, honestly, we do not have enough specialists to be able to make sense of meaningful data. So we are dealing with, if you look at it, we've got plants that are in different places, and we've got people who come in with their own experiences in handling plants. I think they've also mentioned that he's got 7 plants across India. So I think one of the challenges anybody would face where you've got multi-locational plants is you'd have different kingdoms. They have their own ways of working. You've got people managing their shows their own manner. And first of all, just getting them aligned to say, hey, what, this is what we all need to be looking at as critical, components is itself a challenge. Because they have not been exposed to, they've not been used to leveraging information or, probably consuming information in that manner. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges in trying to get everybody aligned and convinced about, that this data is going to really help you to see this. Presently, we've got pockets of this. We've got analysts, so to speak, who are working with this data, who are working with plants. In fact, I handle a team of guys who work with individual plants to try and analyze and come out with projects and implementation solutions and things like that. But we are really not effectively using enough data that we can actually leverage out. Yeah. Whether using sensors to pull out from machines and stuff like that. And I think the second part is in terms of what are we leveraging in terms of what we're getting so far. We've been able to trigger a bunch of improvement projects with respect to capacity utilization and manpower optimization. These are straight away off the bat, direct visible benefits that we get when you have access to more information, more data as such. And there have been at least about 20-25 projects that we've been driving across various plants to get this. But I think the key matrices of equipment effectiveness, delivery fulfillment, which is being on time and in full, and also in terms of the equipment availability related matrices, where I think it's a lot more easier for us to capture this data and then showing it to these people in real time. I think that's somewhere where we want to go to, and the problem is there are a lot of we are also as a nation we are very tech pro, or we absorb technology very well. We just love technology for the sake of technology. Unfortunately, but the problem I feel, or the pitfall I find is we don't take a step back and say technology is just a means to an end, and what is the business issue, what is the core problem that we're trying to address. And I think that's the crossroads where we are at right now, even as an organization. So while we've got the tools, we've got the awareness at our disposal, but we still haven't figured out what is the core issue that we're trying to solve. Once that gets clearer on, once we get that on the storyboard, then, it's picking up technology, and then, building the roadmap, I think will be a lot easier. So I think on the third point that you'd asked, what is our challenge? I think that's something, that clarity of where we need to go. I think I put that pretty much high up there amongst various challenges.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Gautam, for the insights, and yeah, it also reflects your experience all these years. I think one important point you really brought out is the how aligned these solutions or technologies to the business value or the purpose of for doing this. I think that is where more thought has to be. Technology, yes, you are right, it is there and it can enable that, but whether it is aligned to the business goal, and first of all, is there a business goal? And is there a statement of purpose, a statement of work to what you really want to achieve? And then you can find out, okay, what technologies is there to help me to go there. And that is why really many projects fail, and we always see 60-70% of the these kind of digitalization initiative never really scale up and go to the level where that can really provide the value, because they were just probably taken to just explore certain technology, but not really in terms of business solutions. Yes, we'll come to that. So next, I will go to Mr. Sushil Yole, who is the head of technology and quality at Suzlon Energy. More from discrete to more into the more into the power industry. Mr. Sushil, maybe your views on what we are discussing about the overall performance, visibility, and the impact and the challenges that it is giving. Sushil,
yeah, thanks. Yeah, can you hear me? I'm audible.
Yeah. Yes. Please go ahead.
So thanks, Dhirendra, for the opportunity, and also to the BrenAnalytics and PTC team. So I'm hearing to the other leaders and coming to the point that yes, I mean, I will be giving my opinion or experiences I will be sharing. Since I am working at Suzlon Energy, as you are aware, we are into producing green energy, and we have our wind turbine generators across the globe. So more than 12,000 WTGs we have installed in the field, and which are around 19,000 megawatt, that is 19 gigawatt of power which we are generating. So our main focus towards the digitalization would be to do the real-time monitoring of all these machines which are in the fleet. So I will be giving my perspective directly from the site. So manufacturing, everybody has given their own views, but I would like to give the view from the fleet perspective, how the machines are working in the field. So nowadays, we all are aware there are many cutting-edge technologies available in the market, and also they are there in the renewable sector. So, and also customers have become more intelligent and who wants to understand the performance of their assets, since they are investing huge money into the wind turbine generators. So they are also very much keen, and they also want to understand the situation or performance of their machines. So we as technology group in Suzlon Energy, we are also developing now value-added products which meet such needs of the customers. So we have also started real-time monitoring of the WTGs through machine sensors. So all kind of information and huge data is available through our SCADA system. So all these wind turbine generators, which I mentioned, 12,000 plus machines, they are connected through a SCADA system, and we can monitor all of them in a central monitoring system where we can see all the fleet running across the globe, and we are extracting the huge reports out of them. So all sort of data reports we are able to generate, like machine availability at any point of time, what's the mean time between failure, all the MTBF, MTTR records, how is the product stable, whether there are generation losses, electrical losses. So all those kind of reports are now readily available, and this is what we have evolved through years of time, where now we are able to also provide this kind of reports to our customer. Like daily in the morning, customer will get the generation report on his desk, so he will understand how much his machine has produced in the last 24 hours. So that's the I would say benefits of technologies we are gaining now, and we are also giving the relevant information which is required, which enables also to customer as well as to as a manufacturer to take the decisions, real-time decisions. So these all reports are enabling us making faster decisions, as well as coming to the digitization. So we have also started a couple of initiatives in the machine learning and artificial intelligence to take this ahead. For example, now we are implementing the business analytics and intelligence through our predictive maintenance tool, where we also can understand the behavior of our WTG components. So we can upfront see the behavior of the components, and we can do the predictive maintenance depending on the pattern, so that we can reduce the failures and downtime of the machine. So that's the magic of, I would not say magic, but yes, it's the this is the benefits we are getting out of the technologies. For example, the drone-based inspections. So drone technologies we are offering now to the customers, where we can also do the inspections with the help of drones, and where we can process all kind of images with the help of drones, so that again we can understand the reduction in the blade failure. So blade inspection, which is the major component of our machine, we can do the blade inspections with the help of drones. And as you see, all these turbines are at the height of 140 meter or 160 meters. So a person earlier used to climb the turbine and then used to capture the photos. Nowadays, with the help of drone, we can do the real-time inspections, and we can process the information, and we can also take the real-time actions to reduce the blade failures or the component failures.
Maybe Sushil, just since you spoke about, I think, digital performance management, maybe in a product perspective, what you spoke about, while everybody spoke about the manufacturing perspective. But at the end of the day, the digital, it is a digital data that you are getting, and as you said, it is helping you to remotely monitor. And so how is it a help? Maybe in 30 seconds, if you have to give the benefits. So has it helped to wind turbines always up and running, where you have taken a predictive maintenance kind of an approach? So if you have to just mention the benefits, how this whole digital management or performance management has really helped you in the wind turbine industry.
Yeah, so it has helped a lot, I would say, because you don't have to do the manual crunching of the numbers. Now you can get the reports directly from the system, which can be then presented to the management through your MIS reports, through different dashboards, which
so
can
that
be
is
also
more for the data. But I was more talking about the value to the end user. Like, has it helped you to continuously generate the power, or it has not gone down, or something from a business perspective?
Yes, so so that's what we commit, 97% of availability to our customers. So that's where we are also monitoring the performance of our machines, which is also delivering to our customers.
Probably without this or before this, it was not 97%, right? Is what I'm assuming. It might be lesser.
It was there, but now to ensure transparency with our customers, that's what we are also sharing the reports, and that's what has created a trustworthiness with the company, between the customer as well as the manufacturer.
Thank you. Thanks, Sushil, for giving this insight. I think a slightly different perspective, but very important. At the end of the day, it's basically monitoring and getting the data, understanding, and doing analytics, and even an excellent example of drone. Doing the analytics and manage or the information access through the drones is a great example to really, and probably that might have helped you to really provide that 97% SLA with your customers. So that's good. So maybe I'll come back to you again if the time permits. So next we'll go to Mr. Vishwas Puttige, who is the business head of Amaze Solution. Mr. Vishwas, your perspective.
Hi, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So thank you so much for the question. I think one of the advantages of being one of the last members in the panel is to align, which mostly has happened today. So just to introduce, I come from AS Micromatic, which is we are the CNC machine manufacturing group. I already see a couple of people on the panel itself who are our customers. So we are the spot boys of the industry. We hold the light on people who shine, and we make these CNC machines who basically are the mother machines is what we call them. So heavily into moving from a raw casting or a forging part into a finished product. So metal cutting space is what we operate in. And we've been in the industry for over 4 decades now, supporting manufacturing companies from all sectors, automotive to aerospace and more today. Well, I come from personally, I mean, right now, the company that I represent is a 3D printing company rather, or an additive manufacturing company. So this is a very logical diversification or upgradation in technology that we have ventured into. Amaze Solutions is a metal 3D printing solution provider. So we provide printing services as well as we've started making machines in India. So metal 3D printing, one of a kind in India. Of course, one of the key aspects that we also make sure that we offer on our products is productivity and keeping Indian customers in mind to see how all the concerns that are there in terms of usability of equipment is addressed. Now, but I'd speak from my experience of having been a part of the parent company, which is AS Manufacturing Systems, who's a CNC machining center manufacturer. So I pull out a few of our experiences and update on specific to the questions that you asked, Dhirendra, about what we are doing in terms of performance and performance visibility. So for us, we've been largely a paper-based organization in the past. So we've been mostly, because that's the kind of industry we are, and it's technology is something that only happens at a design stage and very less in the past. I speak for our group, or rather our technology. About 8 or 10 years ago, we've heavily been focused on how paper is used as a communication, but now it's changed heavily with newer technologies. So we are completely on SAP, and a lot of our data is real time and live. At any point in time, our people have an access to information in terms of the status of any product or an order, and what is the possible delivery times and any obstacles or challenges that people are facing. But still, I see gaps in things that are there that we do. So we are right now working on methodologies of addressing these gaps, especially in terms of better throughput time. So we are looking at things like kitting items from a supply chain perspective. We're looking at barcoding our raw materials, so it becomes faster for storing, retrieval, and also at the assembly space. We are looking at a lot of console-based assembly, where we have the assembly stations would be equipped with consoles where their operators are able to identify, they're able to see the process, they're able to see the status of parts, and probably change the equipment that you're working on in real time. So these are the few things that we see that would add significant value that we're working on. But from what I saw, from what Raj Kiran did present, I see that sort of a technology beautifully blending into the gaps that are existing in a process like ours, which would bolster the whole process or idea of making sure whatever the shortcomings in terms of performance measures of the process in real time can be addressed and then taken forward. Though we do have our daily, weekly, monthly kind of activities and charters, which gives us our process, but something like this, the digital performance management, would help us align much better with the long-term goal, with the actual breaking it down into organization, department, and individual goals, which would be far more objective than a subjective way of evaluating processes. I mean, people are secondary, but processes, I feel that would be much more useful and suitable. Of course, you also brought up the point of challenges and what are we doing with the current visibility. Maybe I can touch upon that also. This definitely from a productivity perspective, I see immense value that can come on board. We could probably double or triple with a lot of the tools, not just one, but by collective effort, by addressing some of them, a lot of productivity enhancements can happen. We could come out with more realistic timelines of completions of our assembly activities of production activity is more similar to how you'll be able to see, monitor, track your order or your product that has been ordered. A lot of the investments can be optimized right now. We have a metric in terms of the scalability. We look at how a certain ratio of the growth plan has to be flowed back into as an investment. We probably could look at optimizing some of those if we are able to bring about better productivity levels. So, and of course, minimization of a lot of waste and costs, which come probably today as hidden or trapped aspects, which could be addressed, in my opinion, with which we see as challenges, which could be addressed with digital manufacturing, rather digital measurements of process performance. So this is what I feel.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Vishwas, for the insights here. So last but not the least, we'll go to Mr. Hariharan Ramakrishnan, who is the head or vice president of digital and analytics from Motherson Sumi Infotech and Design Limited, which is also called as MINT. Mr. Hariharan, slightly different from all that what we have heard. Everybody is more from manufacturing industry. They have given their perspective. You are more from a information technology system or IT company. Of course, you have your own Motherson Sumi group itself, a very renowned group from an automotive manufacturing perspective. So just some quick views from you on both from an industry as well as how do you see from a consulting or from an IT company as a service or a technology solution provider. So just your views, Mr. Hariharan.
Hey, thanks a ton, Virendra, and I'll try not to be the least, right? So first of all, thanks to both P2C and Brain Analytics for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I also thought it best that I put together something. I hope you're able to see my slides. I also thought it best that I also put together something which will enable you to visualize, whenever I talk about other Motherson group or our strategies that we used, right? Now, to answer these three questions that you spoke about, I'm going to showcase, of course, the Motherson Group's own digital transformation journey and how we transformed our organization while keeping the lights on many existing solutions, as well as, and I'll also tell you why that was required, and also, using an emerge and enhance approach, very similar to what PTC is talking about with their digital performance management tool. And at the same time, how we initiated the gradual change without disturbing the operations, right? But a little about why we need digital transformation in the first place. So in my career, I spent almost 20 years in my career working with different kinds of companies. So I've consulted over 100 companies just in the last 17 years alone, and in various sectors, including manufacturing, FMCG, retail, banking, telecom, ENU, logistics, and many more. One thing I can tell you is that there is no size fits all. And I just saw someone put the same thing in the comment as well just a while back. I totally agree with you, sir. There is absolutely no size fits all approach in any industry with respect to digital transformation. And that I can tell you because I've consulted with Coke and Pepsi at the same time and multiple other companies in different verticals. And as simple as it can be, Coke and Pepsi, right? One doesn't work like the other, very different, right? So that said, we have to come up with accelerators though that enable every company to take forward their vision, right? So to give you a brief glimpse about Motherson Group itself, we are a trusted and fast-growing specialized manufacturing company for OEMs. We're one of the top 20 largest OEM suppliers worldwide with a workforce of 135,000 operating in 41 locations, and we've made it to the Forbes Global 2000 list. Now, our company was founded in 1975 in Delhi as a family business, and we established a strong foothold in India in the 90s, but before that, starting in the Maruti in 1984, where our wiring harness came in. And then over that, several joint ventures of the next 2 decades. Since 2010 now, with large acquisitions and strategic positioning, we have emerged as one of the major global players in manufacturing space, right? And, as many of you who would, be...
Maybe, Mr. Hariharan, just sorry to interrupt here.
Yeah.
Just in the interest of the time, because we want to hear your views, actually.
You'll get my views once you understand my pain area, right?
Yeah.
So the reason for showing you all this was basically to share why it was important for us to transform. Now, we grew very fast in a diversified business portfolio with solution capabilities across 10 major verticals. And while working in diversified groups like ours, we can always fulfill the need of any large diversified enterprise. But then within the Motherson Group, okay, we're also all about diversity, but at the same time, some of the key problems that we face, for example, were lots of manual efforts, no visibility, low process maturity, and so on. And also, imagine when we are growing a group from 5 billion to over 12 billion today in a matter of 5 years. We acquired a lot of companies with disparate systems, different ERPs, different CRMs, different MES systems. And when we started looking at transforming in 2013, right, that's when the journey started, we had a major issue. So to overcome these issues, we understood that the importance of big data and analytics is, analytics tools is definitely having to be used, and also how we can play the role of a wizard in manufacturing. We were able to harness the power of data to get insights combined with IoT solutions that helped us in a great way to increase our visibility and also optimize our shop floor operations. So we have data being collected through sensors. Some of you spoke about that, and these sensors are on machines, and we also have data coming in from different applications, different ERPs, different CRMs. Our systems today support over 22 different ERPs, about 10 different CRMs, and multiple other myriad backend systems. And with the help of all this, we were able to monitor the health of the machines, give us real-time visibility. We have an MES that acts as a central POC, which then further mines the data through advanced analytics framework. Motif, which is our intelligence framework for Motherson, also provides intelligent insights for taking smarter business decisions, as a result of which we were able to achieve real-time visibility, increase productivity, decrease downtime, and also showed noteworthy improvement in the area of reducing our scrap in a big way. Back in 2013-14, we were a traditional organization operating on Excels and data. Data was stored in ERPs, right? And we had access to fragmented data that made taking decisions very risky. And what we realized is the power of data. We began with base level digitization, then we switched to an MES, and then sensors. And tech has been a great enabler in our digital transformation journey, especially IoT, big data and analytics, as well as AI. Most of our flagship plants are already utilizing sensors. We use AGVs, assisted guided vehicles, robotic arms, and we are highly automated, all our factories across 41 countries. And this has led to increase in the shop floor productivity. And we are already working on replicating the same for all of our plants, right? Some of our plants are still coming up, there are acquisitions that keep happening, and this is what we replicate in each one of our plants. Now, you also asked about visibility, right? How do you enable visibility? So, well, we are able to get that visibility through MES and sensors, which are leveraging this data and mining it further with our Motif Lakehouse. Motif Lakehouse is our core product, which takes care of all our data acquisition needs, then taking into a data into a data lake, thereafter cleaning, filtering, and bringing into a data warehouse, wherefrom we have various options that we have provided for ourselves. And this enables us to also basically we process it by further by logic building and creating a master machine learning algorithm that provides us meaningful patterns in near real time. And we're also able to create an end consumption layer of BI dashboards that share the insights of the desired format. I think Mr. Yole mentioned about the need for able to see the insights first, right? I mean, that's very critical before you begin your digital transformation journey, before you start talking about predictive maintenance, predictive analytics, etc. The first most important thing is seeing the data in front of you. And that's what we did also. We start by getting our ingestion in place, cleaning, filtering the data, bringing it into a dashboard using basic Power BI ClickSense, right? From there, we start getting insight. And then that, enthused us to go deeper into data, go deeper into predictive analytics, right? And if you look at this is a set of solutions that we've developed. Sorry, let me just pull this out. Yeah, this is a set of solutions that we've built over the last 7-8 years, which includes our Motif Lakehouse, a smart warehouse management system, our MES system, IDAX, our entire array of robotic systems, Robis, predictive analytics engine, Prophecy, Piper, which is our customer data platform, which enables 360-degree customer management, and a host of other things, right?
Yeah.
And this is what Motif Lakehouse looks like.
Sorry, Mr. Hariharan, just want to input here, because since we have only 10 minutes now, I think we got the idea, got the gist. I think a good kind of visibility or good kind of connectivity and good kind of insights is already established within the Motherson Sumi group. Actually, is what your slide also shows, which we have gone through a journey. So just in the interest of the time, since there are only 10 minutes, I just want to check with Ekta. Ekta, you see any other questions or comments? Or
Yes, Dhirendra, I just happened to see one comment from Mr. Rajiv Sharma, who mentions about his views on the manufacturing organization. What he mentions that no solutions can fit all. Organizations must understand their digital maturity, and by digitalization, it is never automation, and then decide the roadmap, keeping in mind business challenges it would address. Very importantly, one needs to drive culture of digitalization in organization by identifying digital catalysts who will drive the initiatives at shop floor. So this is what he has shared. So any questions, audience can put on the chat box.
Yeah, more than a question, it's more of a comment or kind of a point of view, which is right.
Correct.
I think there is nothing wrong in that. Actually, they have to have digitalization organization identifying digital catalyst, and as Gautam also said about putting the business goals and values, and then assign to that. So yeah, so if there are any questions, please stop me and we will answer that question. As of now, I don't see anything in the box there.
So you can request, sorry to interrupt, we can request the audience to raise their hands in case they want directly to pop the question to the panel. So yes, we are open at the same time for the Q&A for the last 10 minutes. Anybody can raise your hands and I'll unmute you from there and we can take it.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, as if anybody asks the question, please feel free to stop me and we can take that particular question, Ekta, if anybody wants to ask.
Yes, we have one from Mr. Sheen. If you can introduce yourself, I'll just unmute you, allow you to talk.
Yeah.
Yes, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, so this actually also is not a question, but it's a response to the comment. My name is Yashin Vibakar. I am from Suzlon, and I do not believe that we need to have any maturity. If we are doing any work, that maturity is enough that we are doing work. A digital transformation can happen from any point onwards. I have done it with people who are not graduates, who are with shop floor people, and they themselves have led the digital transformation. Because when we say digital, it doesn't mean it has to be on computers. It is basically about data, and data becoming information, the information becoming actionable information, and then closing the loop and taking it further to the next layer. So that's what we do in games. That's what we can do anywhere. So that's just a comment I wanted to put across to give confidence that everyone's mature enough to take this jump. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the comments. Yes, it's all about defining those initiatives, values, and then taking only. Why we talk about more digital performance management is, yes, information, data points, everything will be available and everybody can understand. But if you put it in a digitalized way, probably the access to that information is so easy through the mobile apps and so many other things and all. And it can do wonders when it reaches to all the key stakeholders without they asking for, when it reaches the data to them. A lot of thoughts, I think, Sabyasachi or Gautam or even Vikasji, I think you shared that particular information on how just by providing that information. I think Gautam, you said that you have few information, some of information that coming to the people, and that insight into that information has helped you to take certain projects to improve capacity and workforce productivity, the things like that. So that's the point actually, how easily it can be accessible. Right information to the right people at the right time will probably give more insights and they can brainstorm and come up with more ideas. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts, comments? We have another 5 minutes.
Yeah, I have a question. See, I heard Mr. Sushil, he talking about predictive analytics. Just
What's
want to
your
just
good name,
out of
sir? And
curiosity.
you're from?
This is Sabyasachi from
Yes,
Excite.
you're speaking.
Panel-
I thought
panel
somebody from the
discussion.
audience.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a question
Sorry.
to one of the panel members, Mr. Sushil. He spoke of predictive analytics, and that I was very curious about it. So, just wanted to understand predictive analytics. How long you have done this type of initiative, and how was the efficiency? Means how was the accuracy of this prediction? Because it's not very easy to do predictive analytics for machines. And what was the accuracy level you have achieved? And if you could help us, give some insights.
Yeah, so we started actually 2 years back with this. And I would say, I mean, the forecasting is around 80 to 85%. So it's good enough to take the decisions and take the real-time actions before, I mean, with the condition monitoring system also, we'll come to know with the pattern and the behavior of the gearbox. If it is going to fail, we can do the minor repair or replace it before it fails actually in the site and increases the downtime of the machine. So that helps us in taking the preventive actions. That's what it helps also to improve the machine availability by reducing the downtime.
Yeah, 85% accuracy is good enough really to take decisions.
Good enough, yes. 80, anything beyond 80% is good enough.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, so that performance visibility and those conditions put into it and these kind of information will really help. Yeah, there is one more. Yeah, there is one more question. Somebody has raised their hand.
Yeah, we see one more hands raised. Yes, you can unmute yourself if you can do that.
Yes.
Mr. Sheen, you can unmute yourself.
Sheen, please, yeah, please go ahead very quickly.
Just wish to add to what Sushil said on the because we have a lot of sensors that are put on the machine, and because of that, it's not only having more performance in the same machine, that also is happening, but it also helps us go to the edge of designing where we have certain offsite conditions, and if we are able to sense them, then you can still make your blades, for example, the rotor, which may not be able to withstand that situation, but the sensor tells it. So you are able to have a longer blade, which is still light, not designed for all the conditions, but when that condition comes, which is just about 0.1% in a year, you know, or in its lifetime also, and it will switch off at that time, it'll pitch out at that time. So it allows you to keep on reducing your cost of power by having lesser, means the optimum factor of safety. So I just wanted to add to that because Dhirendra had asked that what is the materiality of the digitalizing, and this is something that
sure. Yeah. Thank you, Ashwin. I think good insights, definitely. Yeah, so we are almost on the top of an hour here. Maybe any last minute question? Anyone from the audience? Yeah, here there is.
This is from Vikas himself. Yeah, he's on the panel. So Vikas, you can directly put it, please.
My question here to everybody here would be, so we have taken the benchmark for OEE, right? We are taking as at 85% from 30, 40, 50%. What could we target for the capacity utilization? That is maybe it's an open-ended question. So what industry benchmark says how this industry 4.0 will be coming over it? And see, the first is the benchmark setting. Second is just going beyond the benchmark.
If you want my 2 cents on it, Vikas, I think you should stop looking at industry benchmarks and create your own benchmark, right? To be very frank, it's like, when you're a kid and you're being pressurized to get 95% because your neighbor got 95%. But today you're at 70%, right? So benchmark against yourself, right? Try to achieve the best of yourself. That's what we did at our group. We stopped looking at external, looked inward, right? Looked at what data we have, tried to improve the quality of that, tried to improve the, way in which we're running the business in terms of our ability to save on the money we are spending, or improving our sales campaigns, or improving, our factories and the way the factories are being utilized, right? So every aspect of it, you've got to benchmark against yourself, not against someone else.
Yeah, thank you, Vikasji, and thank you, Arian. Yeah, though benchmarks are there just to just as a guideline, but yeah, today we are 70%. How can we improve another 5-10%? So like that, we can every year we can go on improving, and digital performance management, what Raj spoke about, in identifying those bottlenecks and trying to do some performance analysis there and taking corrective actions will help to improve gradually, actually. So we have come to the end of this very engaging session, actually. Thank you.
If I can add a small point to Vikas's question.
Yes.
Just a quick, maybe a minute or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vikas, I think it's a good question that you post across in terms of capacity utilization, right? I think if you look at it from a strategic point of view, obviously the idea is you need to keep improving your utilization and things like that. But there comes a point in the growth of your organization, and this capacity utilization typically is linked to the market demand that you foresee. So when you're looking at, if it is not linked to it, gunning for a higher capacity utilization is only going to lead to inventory. That's not what you want at the end of the day, right? But if you're saying that there is a demand and you're trying to push it for a higher utilization of capacity, and I say this because I've seen about 300 different companies, you would, anything in the ballpark about 80-85% and upwards is typically considered a good range where you're operating in terms of capacity utilization as such. That is ensuring that your OTIF, so your measurement is not utilization but on-time fulfillment. So that should be your target metric. A subset of that will be to ensure that you're delivering on time. Are you utilizing your capacity effectively? So it's not, so you don't gun at a capacity utilization as a target, then you end up overproducing. But you keep OTIF as your mother metric, and then drill this down. And why we say 80-85% is because that spare capacity is the time that you take to ramp up and add on new capacity in case you're expecting a market growth.
Yeah.
By the time you put in your new machine, new equipment, they scale up and they stabilize, you should be hitting close to about 90-95% of capacity of your existing assets. So typically, it's a strategic decision as opposed to, taking it as one metric to, or, drilling it down to a function as such. So just I thought I'd share that because I did a bit of consulting in that area, and it's a good question that you had.
Yeah, you explained it well. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, you produce, you improve efficiency, but what cost?
Sometimes the consultant in me jumps out. So
absolutely.
We end up bringing more numbers to the capacity, and we increase the inventory. So that is the most important thing.
And great insights, really. And again, just to summarize, I think everybody agrees that digital performance visibility or management is key to improve the overall manufacturing excellence or throughput. Of course, it is a journey, as every one of you have said, that it cannot be achieved in one stage. So it is a step-by-step process. It's a journey where first you connect and start getting the visibility. And we have seen what Sabyasachi, Gautam, or even Vikasji shared some experience that sheer visibility can provide a lot of thought process in everybody when they start looking at the data, and that can start quick wins or a quick ROIs or quick impactful. And then of course, the end goal is definitely to the predictive analytics, what Mr. Sushil Yole also has spoke about. The ultimate objective is how automatically the system can predict the failure of the machine. And probably the highest stage is autonomous, prescriptive, not even predictive. Even that it predicts, but at the same time, even it prescribes, what needs to be done, and automatically, like an autopilot. And of course, some mechanical, if it is there, it has to be done physically. But if it is maybe over the air, like a software updates and things like that, it can automatically push and provide that prescription also, and keep the machine up and running, in whether it's in the field or a factory, depending on what we are monitoring. So yeah, you understand, I think overall digital performance management is extremely key technology enabler to improve the manufacturing efficiency and go from that 40 to 60% as close as possible towards that 80 to 85% of the goal. So thank you once again, everyone everyone for your insights, inputs, and time here, coming and sharing your thoughts, audience here. And Ekta, back to you to just conclude and close.
Yes, thank you so much, Adurendra. So, of course, it was a great interactive session with the speakers and also with the audience. We had some questions coming in from both the sides. So on this closing note, I would first like to thank all our thought leaders and our audiences, and of course, our partner PTC for taking out your precious time and being here with us today. Audiences, thank you so much again for being here. We shall be sharing the participation certificate and the video session with you. Also, we'll be getting in touch with you again for connecting with you with one-on-one meets with PTC for a brainstorm session where we would like to engage with them. And just take care of yourself, and happy Republic Day in advance, and have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you so much, everyone, once again.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks everyone.
Thank you all. Bye. Happy Republic Day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.